Hold up, did Tasha K just throw the biggest legal grenade of the year and end up blowing up her own brand? Because baby, this ain't a courtroom anymore, this is reality TV on steroids. I mean, when a defamation lawsuit turns into a full-blown expose on corporate sabotage, media manipulation, and possibly the pettiest revenge arc since Nicki vs. Cardi. You already know we're about to dive into some scandal stew, hotter than Mama D's wig under courtroom lights. How did we get here? How did the queen of controversy, Tasha K, go from "I said what I said" to "can we reschedule testimony due to overwhelming evidence against us"? And what did Bambi just pull out that got the entire internet saying, "Oops, she brought the receipts in 4K. Baby, is VH1 hiding a decade of producer setups? Did Scrappy know? Is Tasha K a victim, a villain, or just another clout chaser who bet on the wrong storyline?" Buckle up, because we've got leaked Zoom calls, shady group chats, and a whistleblower who said Diaz, "Don't scare me, boo." Oh yeah, this drama. It's deeper than the lace fronts and messier than an unedited reunion taping. Let's get into it. It all started with a lawsuit that Tasha K believed would crown her as the martyr of reality TV injustice. The woman who stood up, glam intact, against the chaos that tried to swallow her brand whole. She didn't just enter the courtroom, she arrived. Like it was a movie premiere, and she was the main character with her legal team dragging behind like a trail of clout. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but she made damn sure her walk down those courthouse steps was meme-worthy. With paparazzi, bloggers, and scandal-hungry fans soaking in every hair-flipped second, her opponent, nowhere to be seen yet. And that silence, that empty seat. It screamed louder than Tasha's entire outfit. But then the whisper campaign began. Not inside the court, but online, where the real jury resides. Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, every messy corner of the internet ready to decide who the villain was before the gavel even hit the bench. Because when Tasha K sues Bambi for defamation, assault, and brand destruction, it's not just about a fight, it's about who tells the better story. Tasha claimed she was attacked, humiliated, left with physical and emotional scars, and worst of all, sponsorships gone. But the internet knew better. And the moment Bambi walked into that courtroom, everything shifted. Dressed in black, no glam, no entourage, no fake tears. Just swollen eyes and a clenched jaw that said she wasn't here for the cameras, she was here for the fire. The courtroom energy snapped into a hush, because this wasn't the Bambi who rolled her eyes on TV or stormed out of reunions. This was a woman stripped down to her last layer of pride, carrying the weight of a smear campaign disguised as television and the burden of a lawsuit built on a narrative she never agreed to play. Tasha's lawyer started strong. Standing up like this was the opening monologue of a courtroom thriller, talking about trauma, brand erosion, physical harm, and media accountability, as if Tasha K had been jumped by a stranger in a dark alley, and not a former castmate on a set full of cameras, producers, and contracts. But Bambi's lawyer, cool as ice, didn't even raise her voice when she stood and said, "This isn't assault, Your Honor, this is entrapment." And suddenly, you could feel it, that shift, the way eyes darted from one table to the other, wondering what came next. Because when a lawyer drops the word entrapment in a reality TV case, you know receipts are about to fly. Then came the first video, a slow-motion montage straight from the cutting room floor of a messy producer's wet dream. Tasha falling, the camera shaking, the screams echoing, a close-up of spilled makeup, dramatic piano in the background, and a clip of the ambulance rolling in like they were filming. The gallery gasped. Bambi didn't even flinch. But then came the next exhibit, and that's where it all began to crumble. Tasha in a hospital bed, staring into the camera like a hostage, whispering about justice and truth and refusing to be silenced. But when the judge leaned forward and asked, "Who filmed this?" and Bambi's lawyer said, "Her team," hours after the incident, everything turned sideways. The judge's follow-up, a calm but deadly, "Was this monetized content?" And when Tasha's lawyer tried to dance around the question, the judge cut her off and said, "This video has over 3 million views, ad sponsors, and donation links. That's not trauma. That's monetization." And with that, the courtroom air went thick with the scent of exposed strategy. Outside, the internet lost its mind. TikTok edits with Tasha's hospital clip went viral. Erica Mena dropped a black screen on Instagram with the words, "Told y'all." Mama D went live from her kitchen, wine in hand, lashes on point, delivering a rant that could have won her an Emmy. "I told Scrappy she was gonna pop." Tasha just lit the fuse. "I got the receipts, baby." And right on cue, the internet exploded. Alleged texts surfaced from a producer telling Tasha to bait her, "Don't let her walk off quiet." The courtroom gasped again when the judge read them aloud. "If she snaps, that's Emmy-worthy. Trust me." And the silence that followed, that wasn't shock. That was confirmation. Suddenly, it wasn't just a fight between two women, it was a reality TV setup, gone nuclear. Tasha tried to regain control. Her lawyer objected, screamed about context, narrative, misunderstanding, but the judge wasn't swayed. Then Bambi did something no one expected. She stood up. No speech, no tears, just one line delivered quiet but sharp enough to cut glass. "You didn't have to ask me to swing. You built the story so I'd fall into it," and right then, even the courtroom walls leaned in to listen. The judge recessed the hearing with a warning. "I'm not interested in who went viral. I'm interested in who went too far." And with that, the walls of Tasha K's narrative started to crack. Outside, fans split like it was Marvel versus DC. Was Bambi the unhinged aggressor or the pushed-to-far victim? Was Tasha K the truth-teller or the clickbait queen? Meanwhile, VH1 dropped a vague 5-word statement. "We support truth and safety," but nobody bought it, because receipts were coming fast. And the one thing the internet loves more than a scandal is watching someone lie about it in real time. And while Tasha went live that night with the title, "They Tried to Break Me," Bambi stayed quiet, scrolling through her feed. Watching her own name burn like a match, she didn't light, but got blamed for holding. And just when she thought it couldn't get worse, a live titled Mama D's Tea Room popped up with 35,000 viewers already tuned in. And what Mama D said next would ignite a fire that even VH1 couldn't control. The moment Mama D's live hit the internet, chaos followed like a thunderclap, wine in one hand, attitude in the other. She leaned into her camera like she was delivering gospel and said what most were too scared to admit: Bambi had been set up from the jump. Not just on that day, not just in that moment, but for seasons. She called out producers by name, hinted at private convos with Scrappy, and even mocked Bambi's therapy sessions, saying she better sue her therapist for telling her she was healed. It would have been just another messy live if Erica Mena hadn't entered the chat and dropped a comment that detonated the whole platform. She said, "Mama D, weren't you the one who told producers to make it messy during taping? I got the receipts." Within minutes, screenshots started circulating alleged texts from Mama D encouraging drama between Bambi and Tasha K, calling it good TV, saying Scrappy wins either way. Suddenly, Mama D wasn't just a loud mother-in-law, she became the unofficial executive producer of the very setup Bambi was suing over. Fans started dissecting every reunion clip, every fight, every snide comment from the past 3 seasons. Old footage of Tasha and producers whispering in corners resurfaced. Reddit threads exploded with conspiracy lines, and then came the message that would shift the scales, completely an anonymous post on a gossip site titled, "What You Didn't See from Someone Claiming to Be a Former VH1 Production Assistant." It contains scheduled breakdowns, camera setups, and rehearsal notes, showing that not only were scenes manipulated, but some were completely pre-planned. One line stood out like blood on white carpet. "We told Tasha to be in Bambi's line of sight during confessional swap." Her reaction was timed. That was the moment the audience stopped watching as fans and started reacting like jurors. Tasha K, meanwhile, tried to spin it back with a new live stream titled "The Trial of the Decade" with cinematic music, dramatic lighting, and a fresh set of tears. She claimed she didn't start the war but promised she would end it. But the energy had already shifted. Her confident smirk dulled. Her likes dropped. Her Patreon started leaking subscribers like a sinking ship. And while she posed with motivational quotes and carefully filtered selfies, Bambi stayed silent. No clapbacks, no shady tweets, just watching, waiting, breathing through a media firestorm that now smelled like gasoline laced with betrayal. Back in court, the second day brought more heat than the first. Tasha K's team brought out a surprise. Witness a talent coordinator who claimed Bambi had a documented history of emotional instability and violent outbursts. They rolled clips of Bambi storming off reunion stages, yelling during green room interviews, tossing glasses like she was auditioning for Real Housewives. They painted her as unstable, unpredictable, a woman always one push away from the edge. But Bambi's lawyer came prepared and dropped a stack of medical documents right on the table. Diagnosed PTSD, documented therapy, evidence of emotional trauma from years under the pressure cooker of public scrutiny. This wasn't instability, her lawyer argued. This was repeated, targeted triggering by people who knew exactly how to break her. And then came the voice notes. Bambi's team played them one after the other, and the courtroom fell silent like it knew history was being rewritten in real time. In one, Tasha could be heard backstage before the incident, laughing and saying, "You think she swing? She better. That's the only way we go viral." In another, she was caught whispering to a producer, "We can always cut it to make her look worse." The judge leaned forward, face unreadable, and asked, "Were these recordings authorized?" Bambi's lawyer answered without hesitation, "They were picked up by a third-party mic rig placed on set without our client's consent." The judge looked stunned. "So there's an entire sound department complicit in this setup?" And the answer came fast. "Yes, Your Honor," the courtroom murmured as if the truth had just been punched into everyone's lungs. Tasha K sat, frozen, not dramatic, not teary, just still. And while her lawyer tried to object, the room had already seen too much. Outside, Scrappy still hadn't spoken. No public statements, no interviews, just radio silence since his vague countdown post. But a gossip blog caught him exiting a therapy session, and when asked if he sided with Tasha, he calmly replied, "I'm siding with peace." That one line threw gasoline on a fire already roaring. Was he distancing himself from Bambi? Was he about to testify? Was he playing both sides to protect his image? Speculation reached a boiling point, and just when things seemed like they couldn't get more volatile, Scrappy posted another story, white background. Black text, "I got 12 voice notes y'all haven't heard. If they come for me in court, I'm unloading everything." The internet practically exploded. Back in court, tensions rose again when Tasha's lawyer accused Bambi of launching a shadow smear campaign through gossip pages. One page in particular had exclusive behind-the-scenes footage from the day of the incident, but no one could figure out who filmed it. The footage showed Tasha laughing with a producer seconds before Bambi walked in. Coincidence or choreography? Bambi's lawyer asked. Tasha didn't flinch, but her eyes narrowed, like she knew the ship was tilting. And in a moment that shocked even her own team, Bambi requested to speak. Her lawyer paused, but eventually nodded. She stood slowly, looked at the judge, and said, "I know how it looked, but I didn't walk into work that day planning to fight anyone. I walked in trying to survive a setup, and I failed. That's on me. But don't tell me Tasha K is a victim when she choreographed every moment, when she weaponized my trauma, my motherhood, my family for likes and donations. I'm not perfect, but I'm not the villain she edited me to be." The gallery didn't clap. They didn't need to. Because for once, the silence didn't mean disbelief. It meant the performance was over. The judge scribbled something onto his notepad and recessed the session. That night, Tasha K did what she always does. She dropped a highly edited video with tears, music, and even a child's drawing that read, "Be kind." The caption read, "She hit me. She lied. She played the victim, but my receipts are coming." But what she didn't know. That same night, a former VH1 intern posted anonymously a file titled "What You Didn't See" with hard proof logs, emails, production schedules, all confirming what fans had feared. Bambi was set up. The storylines were planned. The emotional detonations were crafted with full knowledge and approval of producers. One email stood out, dated 2 days before filming. "If Bambi swings, that's the whole season secured. We'll protect Tasha legally. Just make sure she doesn't touch first." And with that, the cracks turned to collapse. Even Tasha's most loyal fans began asking, was she ever telling the truth? The illusion was breaking. The fire wasn't dying, it was only beginning to spread. The courthouse was unusually quiet on the final morning, but it wasn't peace, it was tension so thick you could hear every breath, every heel click, every whispered suspicion before the storm broke. Press had been pushed to the sidewalks, camera crews lined the block, and security tightened like they were preparing for a celebrity riot. Inside, something had changed. Tasha K still wore the glam, but the confidence she once paraded was gone. Her face looked rehearsed but uneasy, her posture straight but forced. Meanwhile, Bambi walked in differently. Not triumphant, not smug, but calm, with the kind of poise that comes from having absolutely nothing left to lose. The judge entered with a stern face and opened the session with the kind of tone that signaled, this wasn't just a trial anymore, this was about to become a reckoning. He looked directly at the legal teams and said, "This case has raised serious questions about manipulation, exploitation, and the limits of reality television. But make no mistake, we are not judging a show here. We are judging truth under the law." Tasha K's lawyer stood and launched another plea, reciting how her client had suffered immense brand damage, lost sponsorships, received death threats, and remained unable to safely return to work. She described the trauma as real, not theatrical, insisting it was more than just drama. It was pain that could not be monetized. But Bambi's lawyer rose calmly and countered with precision, stating that trauma might be real, but in this case, it was packaged, marketed, and monetized by the very person claiming victimhood. She had uploaded donation links, curated thumbnails, created reaction videos within 24 hours of the alleged attack. She wasn't just wounded, she was working the algorithm. And then came the moment no one expected. Bambi's lawyer introduced a clip, not from a reality show, not from leaked texts, but from a production team's internal Zoom call dated days before filming. The clip showed a senior producer speaking directly to Tasha K, saying, "If she hits you, that's it. That storyline becomes the entire season. Don't provoke. Just let her walk into it. We'll protect you legally." The room didn't just gasp, it froze. The judge asked, "Where did this footage come from?" And Bambi's lawyer responded, "A whistleblower who requested anonymity. But the file is timestamped, authenticated, and reviewed by a third-party forensic team." Tasha K didn't blink, but her expression cracked just enough to be visible. And then, from the back of the courtroom, a hand slowly raised. It was Tamika, a former VH1 junior producer, quietly subpoenaed weeks ago. The judge motioned for her to speak. Her voice trembled, but her message was clear. "I was on that Zoom call, and I was the one who recorded it. I signed an NDA, but I couldn't stay silent anymore. I saw what they planned. They told Tasha to wait, to stay seated, to let Bambi break. And when she did, they celebrated. I walked off set that day, and never came back." Tasha K's lawyer immediately demanded the statement be stricken from the record, but the judge refused. "Tamika's testimony confirms authenticated evidence. That's admissible. Challenge it in cross-examination if you must, but it stays." Bambi didn't move. She didn't smile. She just stared ahead like she was still processing the fact that someone had finally spoken out loud. What she had been screaming in silence for months. Tasha K whispered something into her attorney's ear, and within seconds, her lawyer stood and asked for a recess and a private meeting with opposing counsel to discuss possible settlement terms. The judge, weary and unimpressed, granted the request but gave one final warning. "This courtroom may have saved you from the wrath of public opinion, but it will not save you from the consequences of perjury or manipulation of justice. Proceed wisely." As the courtroom cleared, social media erupted like a volcano. Frame-by-frame analysis of the Zoom call flooded Twitter. The phrase "she knew" trended as fans realized that not only was Tasha K aware of the setup, she had actively agreed to walk the tightrope of drama, knowing someone else's breakdown was her storyline. Overnight, her platform lost traction. Patreon accounts plummeted. Sponsorships evaporated. One hair care brand issued a blunt statement: "We do not endorse fabricated trauma for clicks." Her Instagram comments were disabled, her posts vanished, and all that remained was a blank feed and a pinned story that read, "Sometimes, silence protects what's left of your power." Meanwhile, Bambi, though quiet, didn't disappear. She posted a single sentence on a black screen. She sued me for damage, but she broke the mirror. The internet lit up with interpretations, memes, and think pieces. But before the buzz could even settle, Scrappy broke his silence in a 17-minute YouTube video titled "My Truth." No background music, no flashy intro, just a man staring into the lens with years of tension in his voice. "I'm not defending violence," he said, "but I was there. I know what calls happened before the episode. I know what was said about Bambi. She wasn't supposed to survive that day. She was supposed to snap, and they were all waiting for it." He went on to describe how producers hinted she'd be the next viral breakdown, how they baited him with DMIs and late-night calls, warning him that her motherhood, her mental health, even her body would become the storyline if he didn't play ball. They tried to use her pain. They tried to use my silence. And now that the truth's leaking, everybody wanna act like they innocent, but I'm done being quiet. He ended with one heartbreaking line that echoed across timelines. She wasn't perfect, but she wasn't the monster they edited her to be. The video crossed 1 million views in under 12 hours. VH1 tried to recover with an emergency press release. Within 48 hours, 3 producers were suspended. The network's new statement was their most direct yet. "We acknowledge serious errors in judgment during production and are launching a full internal review of our practices. Viewer trust is our top priority. but the damage had already been done. Tasha K's $5 million lawsuit dropped. No settlement, no payout. Just a cold, final motion to dismiss, with prejudice meaning she could never file it again. And then, like a bad plotline, cancelled mid-season, she vanished. No posts. No lives, no content. Gone. 3 weeks later, without warning, a trailer dropped online. Dim lighting, a soft piano score, a woman's voice speaking with raw weight. You watched them build the story. Now let me tell mine. Text faded in. The Bambi File, a 3-part docuseries. The teaser showed her, barefaced, sitting in silence, staring directly into the camera. I lost everything, she said. My platform, my man, my sanity. But now I found the truth. And it's louder than ever. The trailer ended on the same line she whispered in the courtroom before she testified. This time, they're gonna hear it all. And just like that, the war moved to its next stage. Because, in the age of content, reputation isn't destroyed in court, it's rewritten on camera. And Bambi had just picked up the pen. Fade to black. Text appeared, to be continued in They can't edit a survivor, so now that the smoke has cleared for now, the question isn't just who was right, or who went too far. The real question is, how many more breakdowns are being scripted behind the scenes while we scroll, laugh, and repost? Tasha K may have walked into court with binders and a smile, but she walked out with her brand unraveling. Bambi, once painted as the villain, now holds the blueprint to expose the machine that turned her life into content. And if this trial taught us anything, it's that truth doesn't always wear makeup, it sometimes shows up raw, bruised, and holding receipts. So what do you think? Was Bambi truly the victim of a media trap, or just another reality star caught in her own fire? Did Tasha K engineer her downfall by chasing clout too hard, or was she also a pawn in a dirty network game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, don't hold back. Like, share this with your messy group chat, and if you want more exclusive breakdowns, behind-the-scenes exposes, and uncensored receipts, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Because baby, this saga is far from over, and you already know, we've got more tea brewing. Stay tuned, stay tuned.